Welcome to Golden Hardcore, a challenge series where we are exploring the world of Tyria, trying to make as much gold as possible without dying. We'll get to that in a moment. First, I want to take some time to explore one of the best gold making opportunities with the Fractals of the Mists. So let's get started. Fractals of the Mists are a form of endgame dungeons that exists in Guild Wars 2. There are a wide variety of individual fractals, basically individual dungeons, that players can run at different difficulty scales. The general rule of thumb is that at a lower scale, you can get a decent amount of gold, but the higher you go up, the more gold you get. Additionally, at the higher scale of certain fractals, there is an additional challenge mode version of some fractals that is more difficult but more rewarding. The easiest difficulty of fractals are pretty easy to get into, and basically anyone can do them. Each fractal is obviously different with a variety of puzzle elements, boss fights, and routes to navigate through, and as the difficulty of each fractal becomes higher, the complexity of an individual fractal can become harder because of the addition of more challenges. As a player continues to progress through fractals, they will begin needing to get agony infusions. Infusions can be earned through a wide variety of methods, the most common being through the simple action of buying them on their trading post. And in order to add agony infusions to your gear, you will need ascended gear or legendary gear if you want to go the extra mile for some extra flashiness and quality of life. With ascended gear being obtained in a variety of different ways, but the easiest being through the Wizard's Vault. With new and easier methods to get infusions and ascended gear added to the game over the years, alongside the general cost of just decreasing alongside it, being able to gear up and get into fractals is definitely pretty easy to do. The biggest barrier of entry is simply just learning the game. Fortunately, there are a wide variety of text-based and video-based guides for fractals that you can find to learn how to do some various fractals and the various challenge mode versions of fractals. Most of the time, people will look to participate in the Fractals of the Mist with the Looking for Group tool, getting a group together, typically including a healer who gives either alacrity or quickness, a DPS who gives the other stat the healer isn't giving, then 3 additional full-blown DPS, but another method is by creating a static group, which can definitely be more difficult to get but potentially more reliable in the long run. The easiest way to do this is if you happen to have 4 friends who want to run fractals as well, but joining a group or just trying to recruit random people can be a decent alternative to find some people to play with. Now, doing any fractal is going to net you some gold, but there are daily routines that you can consider doing every day, adding more on if you want to do more to get gold. The most common thing you see is people doing the 3 randomly selected daily fractals every day. Doing so can take maybe an average of 15 minutes depending on which fractals you get and also who you happen to be playing with a total of 12 gold earned through this method. Then you also have the 3 daily recommended fractals that take you to lower tiers and can take maybe an additional 15 minutes, again depending on fractal and players, for an additional 6 gold earned. Then you have each fractal seum, with there being 6 currently in the game. Each one takes about 8 to 12 minutes depending on the one, and rewards around 7 to 8 gold for each one completed. So in a perfect world where you're able to do everything, you can spend about 90 minutes running all the daily fractals and fractal seums while getting about 66 gold every day. Of course, there are a lot of variables that go into this, but ultimately fractals are definitely fun pieces of content, and it is nice to get some gold out of it. Moving on, let's explore a unique aspect with Fractals of the Mist that was added to the game recently, Quickplay. This is a mode that takes the easiest difficulty of fractals and makes them even easier, being the absolute perfect starting place for brand new players who don't understand anything about fractals, or for people who are nervous about getting into this content. There are a set list of fractals that are available in Quickplay mode, with those being Aetherblade, Cliffside, Deepstone, Kinfall, Molten Boss, Molten Furnace, Snowblind, Uncategorized, Urban Battleground, and Volcanic. So you won't be able to learn the basics of every fractal, but it will give you a great starting point. Additionally, you can join a Quickplay with the click of a button in the Initiate Scales 1 through 25 subtab of the Fractals of the Mist tab in the Looking for Group panel. When you click the button, ignoring any weird bugs that currently exist, you will automatically join a group, be teleported to the fractal, and then be teleported back to where you were when you are done with the fractal. The biggest reason people will do Quickplay mode is to get Fractaline Dust, which is necessary for getting a pair of special legendary gloves, as well as Fractaline Sparks for a variety of special rewards. But of course, you can get some gold through Quickplay Fractals as well. Obviously, this is going to be significantly less compared to the optimal method of doing the daily recommended and seums with an optimized group, but some gold is some gold, especially if you have fun while doing it. I ran some Quickplay Fractals on my Golden Hardcore character to see just how much gold we can get, and about on average throughout each fractal, I got around about 1 gold worth of materials that I could sell. A little bit more in a fractal like Kinfall that has more mobs to kill, but consequentially, a fractal like Kinfall takes a little bit longer. While not the craziest amount of gold per hour in the game, it is definitely a decent chunk that will obviously add up over time if you do a lot of fractals. Wish I continued to do fractals, and then I continued out into the road to do some other stuff as well. As I progressed through making this video, I decided that I wanted to do a very generalized video to just touch on some different smaller topics for making gold in Guild Wars 2, one of which being Quickplay Fractals. That is definitely a pretty quick topic to go over, but I decided I should dive a little bit deeper into fractals as a whole, even if I don't necessarily want to try progressing fractal CMs on a character that only has 1 life left. In pretty much every video in my Gold and Hardcore series, I do a little bit of random farming here and there, just to get a little bit extra gold on my account outside of the main content I do in each video, where I was going to do some very classic Heart of Thorns metas to get some gold, and I just started randomly exploring Verdant Brink while waiting for the meta to begin. I just love exploring Tyria a lot, and I kind of entered a flow state, if you will, while doing random events, getting map completion, and unlocking some masteries, to the point that I ended up dying in maybe the most Athos way possible, where I just zoned out, stopped paying attention, and died in a really stupid way where I decided I would try to get these diving goggles for the achievement and mastery point, since I did it very recently on my Let's Play account and I knew what I was doing, except I realized right towards the bottom that maybe I shouldn't be doing this and that I forgot where the tree branches were, panicked, and died. Which of course I only had 1 of my 3 lives remaining on this character, meaning we are now at the end of this character's journey. Now that I have died 3 times, we are going to start tallying everything up, and I am going to take 3 grand totals for how much gold I was able to make on this character. First is the amount of gold currently sitting in our wallet, which comes out to 1,104 gold, 80 silver, and 36 copper. On the most technical basis, this is how much gold I was able to make on this character before dying 3 times. But for a second total, I'm going to go ahead and run over to a trading post and pick up all the gold that I have waiting for me there, typically being the amount that I would pick up at the end of the episode, unless I have to grab an item from the trading post for something. The amount of gold waiting for me is 46 gold, 47 silver, and 10 copper, which then brings up our grand total to 1,151 gold, 24 silver, and 37 copper. Then finally, I'm going to try to liquidate as much as I can on my account, going through my stores and selling off any items, using up any currency, and basically just doing a repeat of everything I talked about in my spring cleaning episode from a little bit ago. With everything liquidated, my official final grand total that I earned throughout my adventures on this character with only 3 lives is 1,204 gold, 72 silver, and 33 copper. And to once again look at some quick stats, we played this character for 40 hours and 54 minutes, which is equal to about 29 gold and 39 silver per hour played. And we have now died a total of 3 times, meaning that once again, this character's journey is over. Overall, I had a really good time playing through Tyria on this character, and I think I highlighted a lot of the stuff that I wanted to highlight. Of course, Guild Wars 2 has many more opportunities to make gold in random ways. Just to talk about the future for a bit, I have another challenge-centric short series that I really want to do in the future after a bit of a break. A fair bit different than this series, but with some similarities. And of course, there's potentially an infinite amount of challenges you yourself could do in Guild Wars 2 if you decide you want to try to challenge yourself within this vast game. And that's the video. I hope you enjoyed. Gold farming in video games is not something that I usually do too much, as it's just not content that I particularly enjoy over other forms of content, but it was really a lot of fun to explore through different parts of the game and to try to get as much gold as possible in unique ways. I hope you all are taking great care of yourselves. Have a good one, everyone.